Welcome to Art and Stage Talk Radio. I'm Heidi Hardy.
I thought you looked like you were Heidi Hardy over there. And
Hello.
this is Tracy Jordan.
Hello, Tracy Jordan.
How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for asking.
We're delighted to be here tonight.
Absolutely. We're delighted every week.
Yes, this, if you're new joining us tonight, is Art and Stage Talk Radio, your source for all things art and culture. If it's on the stage, we talk about it.
That's right, in North Texas and really everywhere. But we focus in North Texas, and it's presented by the Dance Council.
Brought to you by the Dance Council of North Texas.
Yeah,
That's correct.
let's talk a little bit about the Dance Council.
Well, the Dance Council of North Texas is perhaps the only organization of its kind in the United States. It is a service organization for dance dedicated to the support of and promotion of dance in all its forms.
Yeah. And, one of the reasons we brought art and stage into the title of this show is because we want to expand dance beyond to any art form or performance. And so often, if you're a dancer, you're a singer and you're a performer. And so there's a
lot of crossover.
Yeah, there's a lot of tie-ins there. So we've had some wonderful guests. Speaking of wonderful guests.
Speaking of wonderful guests, we have some terrific guests tonight, and I'll be happy to tell you about them as soon as I pull up my little cheat sheet here. We have tonight with us Grace Fleener of the, what's your program called?
Dancing Classrooms North
That's
Texas.
right. I've got to make this print bigger. Dancing Classrooms, which is a fascinating program that she does along with our other guest, Miss Gretchen Montgomery, who's the principal of the Mount St. Michael Catholic School. And ladies, this is a fascinating program, and working with young kids is something that I do as part of my work. So I'm really fascinated to hear about this program. You're bringing dance into the classrooms in public and private schools?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Grace, did we say your last name correct?
It's Fleenor.
Fleenor.
I've heard it both ways.
Okay. Okay. Because I said it your way too, and I wanted to make sure that we were doing you
perfectly
justice.
fine,
Okay,
Fleenor.
Awesome.
well, I'd like, just for our audience sake, I'd like you guys to tell us a little about yourselves.
Sure. My name's Grace Fleenor, and I am very passionate about our program. It's an in-school residency, and we work generally with fifth grade students, along with second year curriculum students as well, which reaches the eighth grade. I've been blessed to, this has been probably my 10th year with the almost 10th year with the organization. We've been here 11 years. And I just working with children and dancing and being part of the dance community, using the social development program. It's unbelievable, and I'm excited to share about it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome.
Gretchen, tell us about yourself.
My name is Gretchen Montgomery. I'm the principal at Mount St. Michael Catholic School. It's a small Catholic school in Oak Cliff, and we are in our 9th year of hosting dancing classrooms at our school. We were actually the first private school in the United States.
That's right.
Correct? First private school in the United States to incorporate dancing classrooms into our program. I had some parents who brought it to my attention, and it fit well with what we were wanting to accomplish with our young people, really providing an opportunity for students in our 5th through the 8th grade, opportunities to learn how to interact with someone of the opposite gender in a positive way at a time when it's very awkward and such. And our students leave our school and come back and tell us what a great gift we have given them by allowing them the opportunity to participate in this program.
Well, let me back up a little bit, and I'm interested to know how you got into education, and Grace, how you got into dance.
Sure.
So let's just give
Grace,
me a little more. I know, Grace, that you're from New Mexico.
Originally from New Mexico, yes, that's where home is. Actually was there over the weekend, quick visit to seeing mom and dad and family.
Mm-hmm.
But we were just talking about it. I've been here going on 17 years, 2 babies later.
And I said, yeah, that makes you Texan officially.
I'm Texan officially, yes, but Carlsbad, New Mexico is home.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I loved your bios. If you don't mind, I'm going to read it. It's short, but it really was well put. So, Grace Fleenor is a powerhouse of energy and enthusiasm whose goal in life is to empower others to be the best person they can become using movement as their primary method of communication. Mrs. Fleenor uses dance to teach respect, social awareness, and confidence to hundreds of 5th and 8th grade students throughout the
Metroplex.
Metroplex. Grace is on her 10th year with the organization, as you had said, and is proud to show the magic of how the young students become ladies and gentlemen right before her eyes. I just love that. I mean, it really gives us sort of an idea of what your daily life is. And yeah, I mean, tell us more about your story. When did you start?
When did
this
I
love
start?
for dance?
I was trying to think back. Gretchen and I were discussing timelines. Honestly, I moved, like I said, 17 years ago, almost 17 years ago here. And my background actually is fitness. And of course, growing up with two older sisters, very talented and from the music world, I was always inspired. They had the dance moves. They had they knew every dance that was coming out was popular. And I struggled. I struggled, to say the least. And so I ventured more into the sports arena. And so with that, having the two older sisters constantly being in musicals and doing Oklahoma, I just wanted to have that ability to touch people and reach people through movement. And I think that stuck with me. And there was years I remember in high school even remembering, I wasn't exactly, I wouldn't say bullied, but, I had those feelings of, wow, why am I not part of that group? And why am I not involved in these things? And so I was always inspired by that. And then through college, I was able to work with children with children in a children's setting and doing activities with them. And I was always drawn to dancing. And I made it my goal, one of my goals it was just turned 20, to be here and audition for Dallas Cowboy cheerleading. Isn't that funny?
That's a story by
So
itself.
that's a story on its own. That's another hour, another day.
New information.
Dallas Cowboys is Dad's favorite team, of course. And so that was something that I wanted to accomplish. And being from a small town, that was something that I thought, well, I can really tackle. And so I did move here, packed up the car, and I, was the only one to leave home to move to the city. And so after a couple of years here, I did a little bit of training, didn't make the team. However, I ended up having friends that were on the team and would start going to my fitness classes. And I found myself within the fitness world here and still contain that, well, let's do some dance classes here and there. So that's kind of, never went into the professional world of ballroom dancing. But I was able to meet a few friends, I call them friends now because I still talk to them, that recruited me for dancing classrooms. Just happened to meet me at the gym and thought, well, you've got the right personality, and that just kind of, I felt, wow, I'm getting that acceptance, as a young adult, I thought, well, I might try this. And then when I heard about children and everything that I dreamed of just fit the right time, right place. And so with that, I was able to become a teaching artist. And now I'm happy to say we've got about 23 instructors, teaching artists that are covering all of the DFW area.
So you
doing
teach
that.
different types of ballroom dancing?
Yes. So what this is, Dancing Classrooms North Texas, it actually originated in New York City in 1994. And Pierre Dulaine is a creator. We were actually one of the, I think it was the second or the third site to bring it, and we started really small. We had pilot programs throughout the Metroplex. And so it's a 10-week residency, and our TAs meet with the classes twice a week, and they learn 6 ballroom dances, almost an entire ballroom dance within the first hour or each hour. But really, it is ballroom dancing. However, it's a social development and physical fitness program.
Sure. Wow. What a rewarding job.
It is. It really is.
So is this, the program is it in other cities across the country as well?
It's actually international. We've got sites all over. We have our own site here in North Texas. Very proud to be the second largest site next to New York City.
Wonderful.
And how did they pick Dallas to come into this area?
I believe we had a pilot program that was a year before I began working as a teaching artist. And we had the site director that was in place at that point knew people that were having the program as well and took a shot at it, and here we are.
You know, I keyed in on something that you said that you felt when you were a kid in school, that you felt like you were an outsider, you weren't part of that group. And I think that's a pretty universal thing. Every teenager must. Yeah, I remember my parents used to say to me, "Oh, you should be enjoying your teenagers. This is the happiest time of your life." And I thought, baloney.
Those
Thank
teenage
goodness
years,
it
There's
wasn't.
so much that kids go through in their adolescent age, and they don't know how to process things. They're just learning that how to communicate and relate with others, and you're still trying to find yourself. So my God, how could you possibly? And
Well, who could know more about that than Gretchen at this
Yeah.
point? Right? I mean, you see the kids every day.
We
and,
do.
And you get to, well, let me read the bio. Mrs. Gretchen Montgomery is in her 17th year as principal of Mount St. Michael Catholic School, located in the Oak Cliff area. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Education certification from Texas Women's University, a Master of Catholic School Leadership from the University of Dallas, and a Master of Theological Students from Ave Maria University.
you say Ava, and I say
When other schools were dropping arts program, and this is the part I really like, at the elementary level, Mrs. Montgomery worked diligently to maintain a quality arts program in the school. Dancing Classrooms is part of the arts program in which students from the 5th to 8th grade participate during the third quarter each year in PE. One of the favorite events at Mount St. Michael Catholic School is the culminating dance event during the last class as girls and boys merge as young ladies and young gentlemen. Similar. So yeah, you're in the thick of things every day.
We are in the thick of things, and I appreciated what you were saying about the challenges of those, especially preteen and early teen years of just figuring out who am I and what am I doing, and all of these changes that used to be that they all played soccer on the playground together, the boys and the girls, and all of a sudden something happens and they don't know how to interact with each other. And the beautiful thing with Dancing Classrooms is it really teaches the students how do boys approach girls, and how do girls respond to boys, and what can they expect from boys, and what can boys expect from girls, and so on, and what are the appropriate ways to interact with each other, not in a stiff kind of way, but in a natural way that fits with where they are developmentally and what's going on with them. So we believe, Grace and I believe that we're in our 9th year as a school having Dancing Classrooms. We're unique in that most schools only teach their 5th graders. Some schools will do 5th and 8th, but our parents wanted 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years.
Wow.
So all 4 of those years they participate in Dancing Classrooms. So 5th and 6th grade are combined for 1 year for the beginning program, and then 7th and 8th are combined for what they call the second year curriculum. And frankly, they had to develop some things for us because our kids knew so much. So they had to add more
Keep them
fancy
entertained.
steps and such. But it's beautiful to watch them. The very first year that we had this program and we had our culminating event, there was not a dry eye in the house because of the transformation that happened with our students. And it's so beautiful. They're taller. It's a beautiful thing to see. Our culminating event is actually this Thursday, and so I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, wow.
Terrific.
Well, we have about a couple of minutes. We have a video coming up, and Grace, you can help us learn a little bit before we watch the video. But Gretchen, a quick question. I mean, you've had this is a wonderful resume. Did education was it always something that you wanted to do? And do you have any kind of dance background?
So my bachelor's degree is in music therapy.
Okay.
And I'm passionate about music, and I had when I found out that I could use music and work with children at the same time, I thought, well, this is a degree made for me. And my focus was on education. And then when our community that sponsors our school started the school, it just seemed like a natural fit for me. Dance, in small ways, has been part of my life. I took dance for my PEs in college and have always enjoyed dance. Frankly, I love most of all dancing with my husband.
Absolutely.
And so
That's very
dancing,
cool.
we've had
We have
several
the adult
adult,
program.
yeah, we've had several adult dancing classrooms programs. They're just 6 classes for the parents, but my husband and I just finished our 5th time doing it. But it's great because at weddings, people think we're just genius dancers, and really we're just doing
The
these
magic of
simple
dancing classes.
We're just doing these simple dances, and that's the beauty of it. Is they're simple and very doable. The children experience success from the very moment the music starts to play.
Oh my gosh, I need
It's
to
amazing.
sign up with my husband
Yeah,
for sure.
It's amazing.
Wonderful. Well, this video is called Colors of the Rainbow. And Grace, you want to lead us into what this is about?
Sure. So as Gretchen mentioned, right now we're at the end of our residency, and so we've got our culminating events going on throughout every school. That is basically their 20th lesson. Shortly after that, actually it's next week, we have our Tarrant County semifinals, and we now have a Dallas semifinals, May 3rd, and then we have the finals. The gold teams from those 2 finals will go to UTA for the final competition. And so it's magic to see because you've got students from all over, different backgrounds, and they get to share the stage, and they're learning the same dances. So
Sounds great. We'll be right back.
ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm
Welcome back, everyone. This is Art and Stage Talk Radio with your hosts, Tracy Jordan and...
Heidi Hardy.
Hi, Heidi.
Hello, Tracy.
And tonight we have our guests, Grace Triner and Gretchen. Tell me your last name again.
Montgomery.
Montgomery. And we're talking about dancing classrooms. And that was a video we were just watching about your kids competing. Now, so there's a competition element to it as well.
There is a competition. However, we stress to all of our participating schools that it's an option. And so we've had a great turnout every year. They have the opportunity at that point to invite 6 ladies and 6 gentlemen to represent their school out of all of 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Some schools have up to 5 sections, 5 5th grade classes within their school. So you can imagine how difficult it is to select only 6 ladies and 6 gentlemen.
Oh, absolutely.
But we do stress, again, it's not about the dancing. It's how respectful, how polite are they with their partners, and their participation and how they're doing in other classes and academics and things like that. It's an opportunity that not all children get to be on a stage, of that element. And so after the 20 lessons, it's left to the community. The TAs are then not going back to the campus. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of the community piece where we allow the teachers that have been participating, generally the PE teacher, the specials teachers, because it's in school residency. So the PE teachers will participate the entire journey. So they are also learning the dances. So it's really up to them to refresh their memory, prepare them for the semifinals. Mm-hmm. At the semifinals, they show up. Most of the schools are dressed up matching outfits, and we provide a sash, a color sash, and so that's where we came up with the colors of the rainbow. And so we have all of the teams line up, and they grace the stage and do all of their ballroom dances. And there's 3 different. We've got the first round where they do their specialty dance, and then the second round where we have mystery dance. So the teams will then get to pick out of a hat, and they don't know what to expect, but it's going to be one of their ballroom dances that they've learned. And it's a joy because you see them all doing the same movement, and we use a lot of imagery while we teach. So when we say, may I have this dance, we pretend, okay, let's put our pancakes out, ladies and gentlemen. And so the gentleman will learn this is how we approach our partner. May I have this dance? And then they get to dancing.
Well, the lady responds, with
With
pleasure.
with a curtsy.
Awesome.
You know, Gretchen, you said earlier that your background was music therapy, and having raised an autistic son, it's always fascinated me how music and dance. And sometimes it depends on the kid. Some will. The key will be dance, some will be music, and you just have to expose them to it. But it's always fascinated me how it is a different language. It will reach in, and believe me, when you've got a little autistic guy, you're trying to find some way to reach in to him. And it was an amazing journey to me to see that personality that you might not expect is even there to come out. And you don't have to be autistic or ADD. We're getting back to that awkward stage. It's the same, you know. It does the same thing for any of those kids, and it's the thing that fascinates me in my classes when I teach. Sometimes I know I'm thinking in particular. You've got kids that are very outgoing, and then some that are very shy, and feeling a little awkward. And of course, they're comparing themselves to other kids in the class. But I always try to find a way to recognize that kid and encourage them. And you see that it's those little light bulb moments. The light bulb goes off over the head. I can do this. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. And that's, as I'm watching these kids in your video up there, some of them are still a little stiff, and others are really getting into the rhythm and the movement of the music and the dance. So you've got to have, I can just imagine you've got those
There's so
moments
many
over and over with
stories.
those kids. To share some of those stories.
Sure. Well, I shared with Heidi just a little bit, being able to be in the classrooms and being a teaching artist. I had a story that just hits close, to home. And I had a little boy. We were having the culminating event, and it was one of our very first pilot programs in the HEB area. And I had the mother, of course, friends and family show up. It's during the school day, and Mom comes to me and says, "Oh my gosh, I need to speak to the teacher. Who is my son's teacher? What did you do to my son?" And your first reaction is, "Oh my goodness, what did I do?" I'm getting started here. And so Mom starts to cry and holds my hands, and we're shaking together. And she says, my son is autistic. His vocabulary is 13 words. And here he is twirling his partner. His saying always to Mom and Dad is, "Touch me not," because, they're not
They
able
don't like to
to
be touched.
touch. Yes. However, he's in full with his partner, twirling her, dancing. And when he was not dancing, their group was set aside for the next group to come. He was tapping his feet and just part of it the entire time, just proud as can be. And those are the moments. That's just one story. And, I hear stories from all of our teaching artists every day. It affects everyone in that classroom.
Absolutely.
You're really doing God's work.
Yeah.
It really
It's
is.
a
And
calling.
I get emotional.
It's a
Gretchen
calling.
knows. She sees me cry at all the events. But, I feel that's God places me and places us in certain places.
There's a
for a reason.
blossoming of and like you said, Gretchen, from the beginning when they get started to the end when they graduate and finish. I have a question for Gretchen. I don't know are there kids that refuse, or are there kids that have, just, some sort of
They're resistant.
preconceived idea of what ballroom dancing
Oh yeah,
is? And
fifth grade students up until about the 10th lesson, or even the partner
usually-
dance.
I usually say, okay, principal, let's give it about 4 lessons.
Okay.
There's going to be resistance. Everybody has cooties.
They do. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Some of them won't even touch when they're
Air
dancing.
pancakes.
They're dancing like this. It's hilarious. But over time, it changes, and it's really funny to see that change and that appropriate comfort level that they have, that the girls don't bite and the boys don't bite either. So.
Well, now, do you have children that want to maybe compete that don't have the resources to buy shoes, or do you have a program that helps them sort of get ready for those type of things?
So in our school, we actually have skirts for the girls. The boys just wear their normal school pants, which are black, which is nice, and a white shirt, which they need for performances anyway. And we've just purchased some bow ties and flowers that we'll just keep on hand
Sure.
for the students to use year after year for competitions. But the first year we went, we didn't wear
The
matching outfits. We just
And not
were
all
all
of them
dressed
do.
nicely and went. And then, of course, it was our first time, so we didn't realize, oh, well, we need to think about costumes. So that's what we've been doing. But it's exciting, and what's really interesting is when they're 6th graders then, and they're doing this beginning curriculum and such. Well, now we know what to do, and so they're showing the 5th graders. So now they're ready to get into the dance frame and are very comfortable with that.
Do very many of them go on to get more formal teaching? Do you know of any students that move on to, I'm going to call a studio, or does that happen very often?
There's always a handful of students that are ready to take that next step.
Okay.
And luckily, we do have many of our teaching artists either work at a studio or own a studio. And so we try to display information at our events. Actually, we have some information set up at our semifinals. And so, yeah, there's always students that are excited about it
Oh, okay.
and joining.
I'm going to direct this to both of you guys. We were talking about how the music and the dance helps the boys and the girls learn how to approach each other and develop those communication skills. Do you find that it has also helped bridge cultural gaps and racial gaps? Kids coming from different family backgrounds.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main things that's something that we see across the board. And going back to the students that are a little bit more outgoing and those that are not exactly comfortable in that setting, they tend to help each other. And it's something to see them start at the very beginning together. Very naive to know, to understand what's going to happen. They just understand, okay, I have to do this because it's a participating grade. But to see them grow together, and it's especially at the semifinals when you see different, we tell them it's up to you if you want to have matching, but it's not about the clothes. You're representing you.
We have students from 40 different zip codes who attend our school from all over the Dallas area, and we have varied backgrounds in terms of education for the parents and income for families and so on. And one of the beautiful things about our environment is that it's just there's a leveling, I guess, to the playing field in that situation, because they're not neighborhood children, most of them. Some are from the same neighborhoods, but still, it's beautiful to see this mix of people cross section, I guess, of the Dallas area come together and have a good time together. It's really a lot of fun.
And you said Pierre Dulain?
Pierre Dulain is the founder and creator. He established the program in 1994, and he is still dancing. He is actually my mentor, who I've trained under. And we've got actually it became popular from the movie Mad Hot Ballroom. And also, I don't know if you've seen Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas.
Yes.
So Antonio Banderas plays Pierre Dulain, the
Oh,
creator. So
okay.
it is the same program. However, that
in a high
setting is in
school
high
and-
school and it is Hollywood. But it's that program. And so Pierre's got his third movie out, Dancing in Jaffa. And we've got all that information on our website.
Let's plug the website because but at this point everybody's this is interesting. Where do we get more information?
Sure. So our website is dancingclassroomsnt.org. Of course, we're on social media, Facebook. We post our culminating event dates, our semifinals, anything you can find. We are always recruiting for teaching artists. We have a training that we give, a 32-hour training at UTA. Generally, it's at the end of July, early August. We're there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Now, how did this get on your radar, Gretchen? Because it's a nonprofit organization, correct?
Yes.
Did somebody bring it to you? Or?
Yes, I had 3 mothers bring it to me actually, and they wanted it for their children. They just, based on the values that we're trying to impart to our students and our children, and we partner with our parents in the formation of their children, and so we looked at it and felt like it was perfect. Yeah, it was a
9
perfect
years
fit.
later,
And 9
yeah.
years later, here we are. Yes.
Wow. Because it seems like it's something you would have to seek out. Like you would. So how do you find schools that are interested in this program? What does that look like?
Or if
Sure.
a school is interested, how do they find you?
Sure.
Generally, they go to our website or they contact us even through Facebook Messenger. They can contact us at info@dancingclassroomsnt. A lot of times it's just word of mouth, believe it or not. Our teaching artists are everywhere, and there's constantly a buzz. We do have quite a bit of media coverage during our events, and so we've grown a lot from that. Generally, it's at our Texas Hall Finals, which is at UTA. We always get some great feedback, and now we're at the point, as far as our future, growing and having more teaching artists.
Well, we'll definitely
join us.
talk about that after this next video. But I wanted to make sure that anyone whose media is important, and I know nonprofit organizations, when I've sat down with leaders and leadership, and the number one tough thing to do is get the word out, especially when they're doing great work. So, we want to help you do that. And it sounds like it's like Tracy said, a calling on many
Yeah.
levels. So,
If you think about our society today and so many of the struggles in our society stem from poor relationships and not knowing how to engage in productive relationships with others. Dancing Classrooms really helps ground us in those opportunities for building relationships and at least a place to start. This 5th grade through 8th grade time is a rocky time in the lives of young people, and they're bumping around in their relationships and trying to figure it out. And whatever we can do to help them navigate, I guess would be a better word, navigate these challenges in a productive way where they feel good about themselves on the other side, that's really imparting a great gift to them. And when we have our students come back to us and say, well, we were just sitting around waiting for such and such to happen, so we got up and taught everybody how to merengue or something like that. But we actually have quite a few of our students who will go into high school and actually go into theater of some kind or another, and they're using their dance in the midst of that, and they're very
Sure.
comfortable dancing with a partner and doing those things. And so the directors are always happy to get our students and to participate in those
Exciting.
things.
I had a friend. We had a conversation recently, and her he's in pre-med at University of Dallas Baptist University, and he's just this really smart guy, but he's an introvert, and he said to his mom, if there's one thing I wish I would have had more of as a kid was the opportunity to stand in front of people and talk, and to get more comfortable in with groups and individuals. So it does cross that barrier, to introduce something that sounds really uncomfortable, because it even sounds uncomfortable to me to dance with somebody I don't know, or, or to
Sure.
learn new things. But then at that point, to watch them go from that squishy look like to a bright smile
They
of,
end
I'm
up
looking forward
actually,
to it.
at the culminating events, I'll share this. We give them the opportunity throughout the residency. We even have a buddy lesson where we bring in a professional ballroom dancer to dance with our teaching artists.
cool,
And that's
yeah.
a pivotal moment, especially I think for the gentlemen, because they get to see proper etiquette with their partner. But at the culminating event, we give them an opportunity, along with curriculum connection pieces. They start to draw or add a poem or something that they turn in within the residency. But at the culminating event, we actually will pick a speaker and demonstrators prior to each dance. So public speaking, and that's something that we really try to have the parents understand is communication is key. And many of us, and I'm included because I've got my children, sometimes we get lost in computers and phones. We always make sure that they understand we have to have that eye-to-eye contact. And that's something that we get to see the children grow and be able to feel comfortable even on a microphone displaying that.
Yeah. Well, we do have to get to our next break. Don't go away. You're listening to Art and Stage Talk Radio. We're going to hear about what's going on for the future at Dancing Classrooms. And this video, there's two videos. There's one that's is going to be about the culminating event season again, at probably a different school.
I think it was from a current or a past culminating event season, just to kind of grasp how the community is involved and how they show up to our big events at the schools.
And I really like this one. This is Dr. Larry Nelson, Health Positive Impact Through Dance. So, come back to the future of dance and how it's helping people in their everyday lives. You're listening to Art and Stage. This is Heidi Hardy. We'll be right back.
At first the kids are a little bit resistant to get involved. They're not sure how they should, react in touching other people. After a couple of weeks, they really start to respond to the dances. They get confident with the dances, and then you really start to see their personality shine.
I feel happy and safe whenever I dance. It's almost like an art, basically.
One of the dances that we had measured, the swing dance, is providing about 30% more physical activity than any of the other dances in the program. So, we take that information and we try to figure out ways of creating more space for that particular dance in the curriculum, because we want to try to increase the physical activity output of the program. The kids really want to move, and it's our job as the adults to provide those opportunities for them.
Is all about having fun and showing your talent and how you can dance.
So we started in 6 schools, believe it or not, as a pilot back in 2006, and now we're looking at probably being in over 120 schools next year. So the program has grown tremendously, and we are just trying to keep up with the demand. It's very exciting. We have a lot of fun with it.
Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Tracy Jordan, again, with my lovely co-host, Heidi Hardy,
Thank you.
bringing to you Art and Stage, a presentation of Dance Council of North Texas. And tonight we have our guests, Grace Fleenor and Gretchen Montgomery, and we're talking about dance in the classrooms.
I know. It's been so cool. I love that. You know, Gretchen, during the video, she said, "Those are my kids." You're not proud at all, are you?
Oh, I'm just glad to see it.
You know, you were mentioning the merengue earlier, and I saw that, but I was curious, are there any particular of the dances that the kids enjoy more?
Swing.
The swing is the favorite. However, there is an additional dance called the heel toe polka, and I think it's just that activity level and to see them in movement. That Larry Nelson touched on that. The physical fitness, you know, they're so excited to move. They love the dances. We've got the merengue, the foxtrot, rumba, which I think is my personal favorite, and the tango, which is, they get to that point. They're all scaffold on one another, so they get a little bit more difficult as they move forward. Swing is actually the second to the last dance that they learn, and then they learn the waltz, which is, I really get teary-eyed because it's like their
So
graduation.
beautiful.
You know, they've gone from doing basic movement to
I think about, I have two sons, both grown and wonderful. I don't know that they've ever been taught to dance, you know, and I, as a mom, did my best. I'm not a dancer, but what a gift to any young man and woman, for sure. But from dancing with your mom at your wedding, or dancing with your wife, I mean, or, you know, whatever the social situation is, to have that memory that you know the four steps. You can have a baseline of understanding of what dancing is. I remember, there's a lot of young men that say, "I don't know how to dance. I've never danced before," and so again, it's just such a huge gift.
It is. It's also, you talked from the young man's perspective, but also the young ladies learning how to follow and not tell the guys how to, learning how to follow. Now, my husband and I have it worked out, and I'll start trying to lead. It's just
Me too.
I'm the oldest
Oh my
child of a
gosh.
German father. I can't help it. But he'll just kind of, he knows how to make me relax and just enjoy it. But it's really beautiful to really see what these young people are doing, and then what they choose to do as they go on.
So that it teaches. I'm sorry, but it teaches the young ladies to
Follow.
follow,
How
which
do you
is
follow, and how do you know what is this
The
pressing
trust
on my
factor.
back mean, and what is this? Yes, and yes,
Teamwork.
and working as a team and flowing as one entity as opposed to two entities together.
Yeah, I could see how that would be so helpful. I didn't never learn that.
You know, I'm not trying to go political with this, but with so much gender confusion that we see in our modern society, it gives a structure, which any form of dance or athletics, it's a discipline, but it's also a social structure, and it's teaching you how to relate to each other as young women and young men, how to take that leadership and how to follow and how to work together as a team, the yin and the yang of it, because you have to find those ways to work together. In this particular case, it's ballroom dance, but there's a broader lesson to be learned there. And I'm just curious, are you able, do you find a correlation in the kids as they work in this, in their academics classes? I often say in theater arts, the things that you learn in it doesn't take away from the things that you learn in academics, in textbooks, but at some point in your life, you're going to be doing a sales presentation, or you're going to be in front of a group of people giving an orientation, and you don't learn that in a textbook. So I'm curious at this, because I don't work with this young of a group, but what do you notice any correlation there?
What we notice is, I think it's a subtle growth over time. That there's this 10-week time each year when the students are participating in dancing classrooms, and it's this focused activity. And what's interesting is with our students engaging in this over the course of 4 years, we see a certain evolution, if you will, of our students as they mature, but also as they learn to interact with each other in a more productive way, and maybe to be more gentle or more give and take in their relationships. There is that softening that happens as they get older, and that can only play out in their relationships at home and their relationships in any jobs that they're in, and so on. So I talk about relationships, but nothing happens in isolation, right? We're integrated people, and so we know that it's having some impact in some areas. And of course, each child is different, so it will impact them in different ways.
There was the one young girl that was speaking in the video, and I thought, look at her, how she has a confidence about her, and
Great.
how often do we complain and chastise our young teenage nieces and nephews and kids because they're talking like this. Speak to me. I want to be able to understand you. And the girl was speaking clearly and a confidence about her.
They're thrilled after, it does take a few weeks for them to gain that confidence. But they're just thrilled to share what they've learned. And we always, as teaching artists, we try to remind them, go home and teach something to your friends, your family, whoever it is that you live with. And some of them, after the spring break, were happy and excited to run right in and say, Miss Grace, I taught the merengue to my grandmother or my grandfather. It's just that you can't teach that. It's not, like you said, it's not textbook.
Well, the other thing that because I see education as having to evolve and constantly looking for opportunities to introduce things that are maybe students aren't able to have access to. Gretchen's shaking her head. What do you say about that from an educator standpoint? What's the challenge?
Well, I think one of the challenges one of the things I see in modern education today is this goal of forming our young people so that they can just fit into the machine of society. Yeah. I know but that really seems to be what it looks like. And what is abandoned is the aspect of the heart and the things that make us human. Right. And the arts play a powerful role in making us human and bringing out that human element of who we are as people, not just as cogs in the machine of society. And I think that's one of the reasons I've held on so tightly to the arts in my own school. I make the 6th graders take band, and then they can choose fine arts and band in the 7th and 8th grades. They write icons in the upper grades, and but all of that is maybe even getting back to what you were saying, Tracy, about your son, your autistic son, and everybody has a language of their soul. For me, music is the language of my soul, but dance is probably the language of Grace's soul, or some of our, and it's when we find that, that's the place that we go where we find ourselves to be most human, right, and to be most real, like the Velveteen Rabbit, right? To be most real. Dancing Classrooms has just enhanced what we're trying to accomplish with our students in terms of graduating students who are human beings and not just cogs for the machine of society.
I love the element that you're introducing older dancing formats, right? So some of them, swing has been a format for a genre for a very long time, and without this introduction, it could be lost.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. So luckily, we incorporate history. They learn the history of each dance. They're proud when we ask them, okay, remind me the dance we learned last week. And they want to be the first one to raise their hand and say, the foxtrot's from New York City. Harry Fox invented in 1912. Their answers are there, and they're listening, and it's for every dance. And just to share that and expose that, we hope to, plant those seeds of hope, because, it's something that to be shared, grow, and there is hope for this world.
Well, do you give them a homework assignment and say, now I want you to go watch Dancing with the Stars?
Actually, we used to talk about Dancing with the Stars or any of the dance shows. However, Sometimes it's a little tricky nowadays because it's a bit much. But we do.
Or not so much.
Or not so much.
Or not enough, I should say.
What costume?
Something that's barely there.
Yeah.
You know, if they're excited to share that they saw the show, well, that's great. But we do incorporate, like I said, curriculum connection pieces. We actually ask them for the very first lesson to share maybe a 5-sentence paragraph. What did you feel the day one? And be honest. This is something that you're just sharing with me. And a lot of times it was gross, and I'm never going to do that again. Don't come back on Thursday. We love you, but don't come back. That kind of attitude. And they progress. So around lesson 7, we ask them for another piece on any of the dances they've learned. Music songs, raps, poems, art pieces, beautiful art pieces. Within that time, we ask them one more time, look, what else do you have? What kind of expression do you want to share? And you amazed. I have things all over my office that I just can't get rid of.
Sure.
That shares their feelings. You know, it may be a picture of a fox, but that's what they learned from it. And so I don't know, there's so much to be said about that.
Do you ever have students come back and
Yeah, I was going to ask, after this long now, have you talked to kids that you had at this
Alumni.
age? Yeah, alumni.
We actually had our 10th year this past year at Texas Hall, the finals, and we invited alumni from past years, and they came. They danced with our teaching artists, and so we had alumni from the very beginning. Gretchen, I think you have a few stories of some alumni that have done some production pieces and shared that with us as well. I think that's a beautiful story.
It's just, well, I think that I shared with this earlier that one of the things that's really fun is when I hear about the students tying it into whatever they're doing in their lives at that time. So and as Grace shared, I taught my grandma the merengue over the break or something like that, or just jumping up and teaching friends around them. But they come back and they talk about how what an impact participating in dancing classrooms has been for them, and they're surprised by it. You know, oh, this does pay off beyond just being at Mount St. Michael. And I'm so glad for that, because that's really what we want to see.
Well, we appreciate you both being here and sharing this wonderful program. I know when it was introduced to me, I started doing research, and I don't know that I fully got it until I started watching those videos. And it was just so fun to watch, like you said, these kids that are probably, sort of fighting their own battles internally, but watching them work together and learn something so amazing as these dance moves. So thank you. How can we help you grow?
Oh, sure. Well, we are at the point we're growing. It's continuously
Great.
growing. Like I said, we'll have some teaching artists. We'll be recruiting for teaching artists. You mentioned, we talked about the outfits. We have had some donations come in for children that,
Great.
the school may not be able to provide. I take the collections all the time. Any kind of sponsorship you can send our way is always helpful. And we try to put everything out on our social media, so the exposure is everything. Because a lot of times things get lost in translation.
Sure.
Yes, we use the medium of ballroom dancing, but it's what they're learning between the dances.
Well, we appreciate your partnership and your willingness to come to the show and share this amazing program.
Before you go, tell us what's on the horizon in the future.
So, like I said, we're growing, but we have events coming up. So next Thursday is our Tarrant County semifinals, and that's going to be held at Southwest High School in Fort Worth. And then we have our Dallas County one as well, and that's May 3rd, and that's going to be at Molina High School in the Dallas area.
We'll have a team there.
And they'll have a team there. You'll see Mount St. Michael participating. And we've got, actually, Tarrant County, we've got 19 schools on stage. And then we've got Dallas, we've got 9. And then we've got Grand Prairie, HEB area. We've got many districts. And then we've got the finals at Texas Hall, which is going to be May 16th.
And if somebody is interested in this, is it open to the public? Can they come and watch?
It's open to the public. Just show up. The show times will be at 6 o'clock. The Dallas one is at 6:30. Lasts a couple of hours, if that, and it's a beautiful
Well, again, thank you so much. This hour goes
Thank
by way
you.
too fast. Thank you. You're listening to Art and Stage Talk Radio. Thank you, Tracy, for being here.
Thank you, Heidi.
We'll be back next week with another wonderful show. And
And in the meantime, you can find us on thedancecouncil.org.
absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.